Hey, what's already? Welcome back to News Dose, and after some new information, I am now convinced that Xbox has a big opportunity to bring back one of their most beloved and requested franchises of all time. And quite honestly, with some new information, they kind of need the goodwill from fans right now. Yeah, we're going to get into both of those situations today, and also why Nintendo fans, or even Nintendo haters, are freaking out about the latest results. Though, I really don't think that they should be. I'll explain that here in just a bit, but first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go get right into things, though, starting off with the Game Awards and two announcements that seems to be primed for some big-time reveals. Now, the first of which has been confirmed being Tomb Raider. Yeah, you can see Jeff's tweet here, which reads, Lara Croft returns at the Game Awards. As just revealed in our The Game Awards vote in Fortnite map portal, tune in Thursday night for a look at the future of one of gaming's most iconic franchises, Tomb Raider. This is one that you won't want to miss. And I mean, depending on how much they show of it and how well it's received, this could end up being a massive announcement. Lara Croft legitimately is one of the most recognizable gaming characters dating all the way back to the 90s. Though, that's kind of the thing about the Tomb Raider series and some of the decisions that they've made since then. They've changed Lara's appearance a lot. And because of that, a lot of non-gamers probably don't even really recognize her anymore. Now, just to be completely fair, I like the rebooted Lara Croft. I thought she looked great in those games, but I know there's a lot of discussion about her design, new versus old, and it'll be interesting to see what direction they take, if not a completely new direction for the next game. Now, it also sounds like we will get a Star Wars announcement, possibly linked to the ever-beloved Knights of the Old Republic. Now, I am a little bit weary of this rumor, but it comes from Kazooie, which has been fairly reputable in the past, but he tweeted, a big Star Wars game announcement is coming very soon. And just to be clear, this announcement has nothing to do with Star Wars Zero Company or Eclipse. So immediately this sparked a lot of speculation online until Kazooie chimed in again and said the title of this game ends with the Old Republic. And then they posted the big emoji eyes. So obviously, there's been a lot of speculation, just a lot of rumors about a new KOTOR or possibly even a remake of 1 or 2. Years ago, Sony announced a KOTOR remake in partnership with Asper, but unfortunately that just didn't really amount to anything. Yeah, that was a whole situation, but here we are years later, and maybe they got it back on track somehow, but this is where I'm a little bit more cautious. Yes, Kazooie said that the title ends with the Old Republic, but my question is, what does that actually mean? Because technically, there's also the Star Wars Old Republic MMO. So I don't know, that title isn't necessarily exclusive to just the Knights of the Old Republic games. And I'm a little bit skeptical of why he didn't include Knights of to the Old Republic title. So I'm taking a wait-and-see approach with this one, but whatever the case may be, if you are a fan of Star Wars, it definitely sounds like you might want to tune in to the Game Awards. Oh, and Analogue is back at it again to really divide their public perception, because while they make great FPGA consoles, there's no doubt about that, but they also know how to upset their fans and potential fans, mainly because of how they run their business. So, just to kind of preface this whole situation, they opened up pre-orders last year for the Analogue 3D. They took people's money up front, that's how they handled their pre-orders, and of course, they sold out. No surprise there. But it was supposed to be in the hands of their customers in early 2025, and that is important to today's news because, as you may know, those orders finally got shipped to their customers late last month. I was one of those. Well, here we are just a few weeks later, and they already announced their new Funtastic 3D analog lineup, which emulates the transparent colors of the original Nintendo 64. Now, they also have a gold option, which I actually really like, but they claim that these new highly limited consoles will be delivered before Christmas, which tells me that these consoles have been ready for quite some time, even last month when they claimed that the initial batch was sold out. Yeah, That's the thing, because Analogue likes their FOMO, which, by the way, the white and black variant will also be on sale here on the 10th as well. So what I'll kind of say is that this news is both exciting and also frustrating at the same time. It's frustrating in the sense that the original buyers may have preferred one of these Funtastic colors instead, and it's probably also frustrating for the people who bought the white and black variant a few weeks back when they could have just waited a little bit longer to maybe buy one of these Funtastic options. But admittedly, it's also exciting in the sense that Nintendo 64 fans will get another crack at pre-ordering one of these really great consoles on the 10th at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let me tell you right now, it is a great console. I have the white variant myself, which is kind of funny because I actually ordered the black version. They just sent me the wrong one, but whatever, no big deal. It is what it is. But whatever the case may be, it is a great console, and it's everything that it's been advertised to be, and possibly even more. So I'd say if you are interested in the Analogue 3D, be there bright and early, again on the 10th, because this thing will sell out, and it will sell out incredibly fast. Not only are legitimate buyers going to be there, but scalpers will definitely be there for sure. Now, one tip that I do have is that if you just don't care about the Funtastic colors, not everybody cares about that type of thing, maybe try the white and black variant instead. From my understanding, you can't order a Funtastic variant and a white and black version in the same order. So it might be a bit easier to get the white or black variant instead, because most people will probably be focused on those Funtastic colors. Now, 8BitDo is also releasing their Nintendo 64 controller in the Funtastic options, so if that's something that you're interested in, keep an eye on that as well. All right, now let's go and talk about something that I really want to talk about today, and that is Xbox and a big opportunity that they currently have. See, the thing is that last week we talked about Banjo-Kazooie Mumbo Mania. But in case you missed those videos, basically, it's a fan-made Banjo-Kazooie game that was created in Dreams. That PlayStation game that failed miserably years ago. Whatever the case may be, though, fans have been raving about how good Mumbo Mania is, which, now that I have more information, this makes a lot more sense in retrospect. See, what I didn't realize last week is that this isn't simply just a fan-made Banjo-Kazooie project. No, this instead actually came from a legitimate game developer from Moon Studios that created this project as sort of a proof of concept, which interestingly was inspired by Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I mean, you can definitely tell with how the transformations are handled, but yeah. Ufolace is a level designer at Moon Studios, the creators of the Ori franchise. Now, personally, I view the Ori series as a top 3 Metroidvania franchise of all time. I'd rank it Metroid, the Hollow Knight series, and Ori in no specific order. But it truly is that good. The thing is, though, is that Ufolace on Twitter confirmed that Mumbo Mania was created as a proof of concept for a potential Banjo-Kazooie 3 if Xbox were to give him an opportunity. Now, interestingly, this was also echoed by the Moon Studios CEO, Thomas Mahler, who said, "Our own Ufolace made this in his free time. Give him a big shout out. Doing this in Dreams is not easy. It still might be fun to start a new team at Moon to do a Banjo 3 thing if Xbox has interest in doing something with the IP." And what makes this even more interesting is that this is not the first time that Thomas Mahler has mentioned a desire to work on a Banjo-Kazooie 3. He's actually mentioned this various different times in just the past few years. Now, to be fair, he's also noted that they're busy with No Rest for the Wicked currently, so this was a hurdle at the time, but with this new information, he seems fully prepared to create a new team to work on a Banjo-Kazooie game as well if Xbox gives them an opportunity. So really, the ball is in Xbox's court right now. They have a proof of concept, a really good one at that, and even better is it's from a studio that they have worked with in the past. In fact, Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will-O-Wisps are among Xbox's best-rated first-party games of all time. So I don't see a reason for them to not go through with this. This really is an incredible opportunity for Xbox. But I also have to say that this is also one of the most interesting ways that I've ever seen a studio put together a proof of concept. I mean, it was done by one person. It wasn't like the entire studio did this, but it's still front and center for fans to see. And I think that that could apply more pressure to Xbox to actually make it happen. I mean, if anything, if somebody interviews Phil Spencer, they really need to bring this to his attention if he doesn't already know about it. I mean, we are this close to making a Banjo-Kazooie 3 happen, so come on, let's do it. All right, now one more thing before we go, though, because we just got the results for the Black Friday week, and it came up with a few surprises. One is that the Nintendo Switch 2 was not the #1 best-selling console, which is why Nintendo fans, or maybe even Nintendo haters in this case, have been freaking out. Like, people are suddenly acting like the Switch 2 is now doomed, but no, it's really not. The Switch 2 is the fastest-selling console of all time. That hasn't changed. Yes, it got outsold one week, not the end of the world. But technically, yes, the PlayStation 5 came away as the big winner for Black Friday week. Circana's Matt Piscatella revealed that in the United States, PlayStation 5 accounted for 47% of total Black Friday week hardware unit sales, leading the market. Nintendo Switch 2 ranked second with 24%, with the next Playground third at 14%. Now, that is the other big surprise here. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But as for the PlayStation 5 topping the Switch 2, I don't think that this is nearly as shocking as some people are making it out to be. The thing is that the PlayStation 5 was really the only console to have a legitimate Black Friday deal that was actually advertised. It reverted back to its launch price, and people ate that up as they should, because, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that next year, the PlayStation 5 could skyrocket in price yet again with the concern of RAM and how much stock they have. For now, though, they seem to be doing just fine, as we're seeing here. Now, as for third place, though, you'll notice that it's not Xbox, but it's instead the Next Playground console. Now, we talked about the Next Playground last week when it first appeared on the charts, but it is kind of crazy that Xbox is nowhere to be found here. You know, basically, it looks like Xbox and Switch 1 holds the remaining 15%, but that's not really a good thing for Xbox. I mean, the Switch 1 being low makes sense, but Xbox, on the other hand, you know, they're not going to have a new console probably for at least a couple years. And I guess in the meantime, the current lineup of Xbox consoles is now getting outsold by an Android Connect-like console that most people haven't even heard of until last week. Yeah, Xbox's hardware seems to be in rough shape right now, but that's really their own doing. Between them de-emphasizing exclusives and raising the price for their consoles multiple times, and then also their subscriptions, it just kind of feels like their current Xbox hardware is not really within their strategy. It just feels like they've moved on, and whatever they can sell, they'll be, I guess, good with that. I mean, I don't know what that says about their next generation console and what kind of expectations they have for it, but at least when it comes to the Xbox Series lineup, again, it just feels like they've given up on selling it, and this is kind of the result of that. I don't know, maybe you view this situation a little bit different, and if you do, let me hear it in the comments below. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.